Emma and Jake Thompson had been married for 5 years, and to anyone looking in from the outside, they were the classic Aussie couple living the dream in Melbourne's Outer East. Their brick veneer home in Ferntree Gully sat on a quiet street lined with gum trees, the kind of place where kids rode bikes until the streetlights came on and neighbors waved over the fence while mowing the nature strip. They'd met at a mate's 30th birthday barbie in 2018, Jake rocking up late in his high-vis shirt, still dusty from a job in the Dandenongs, cracking open a VB and telling the worst dad jokes anyone had ever heard. Emma, fresh out of a messy breakup, laughed anyway. Within months they were inseparable. He proposed on a freezing winter afternoon at the Mornington Peninsula, down on one knee in the sand at Point Nepean with a ring he'd saved 6 months for. The wedding was perfect, a vineyard reception, fairy lights, a live band playing Cold Chisel covers, and Emma in a simple lace dress that cost less than the open bar. Life settled into an easy rhythm. Jake worked long hours as a sparky, coming home with grease under his nails and stories about apprentices who couldn't tell a live wire from a dead one. Emma worked admin for a plumbing supplier in Bayswater, close enough to be home by 4 most days. They'd knock off with a cold one on the back deck, watching the Rosellas fight over the bird feeder, talking about the kids they kept putting off until next year, when the mortgage is under control. Weekends were footy in winter, beach trips to Rye in summer, and the occasional punt on the Melbourne Cup that never paid off. Jake was affectionate, reliable, the kind of bloke who'd fix the neighbor's hot water system for a slab of beer and never ask for anything in return. He called her Em, or love, and still looked at her like she was the only woman in the room. New Year's Eve 2025 rolled around hotter than expected, 32 degrees and sticky. They'd decided to keep it local, the Ferntree Gully Hotel, just a 10-minute drive down Burwood Highway. A bunch of their mates were there, tradies, nurses, a couple of teachers, everyone in thongs and singlets, kids running riot in the beer garden. The pub had laid on a decent cover band, fairy lights strung across the outdoor area, and a big screen showing the Sydney fireworks for the early countdown. Jake bought rounds like it was going out of fashion, shouting, "Happy New Year, ya legends." Every time someone new walked in, Emma felt that warm, tipsy glow you only get when everything feels right. At 11:55, Jake pulled her clothes on the dance floor, his hands on her hips as the band played K-San. Midnight hit. The place erupted, cheers, Old Lang Syne, plastic cups of champagne sprayed everywhere. Fireworks cracked over the hills, painting the sky red and gold. Jake kissed her long and slow, tasting like beer and home. "Best 5 years of my life, Em," he whispered. "Here's to 50 more." They stumbled outside at 12:15, laughing, planning to grab an Uber home. Emma's phone buzzed in her clutch, unknown number, Victorian prefix. She almost ignored it, but something made her answer. "Hello," a calm, serious male voice replied, "Mrs. Emma Thompson. This is Senior Constable Harris from Ferntree Gully Police Station. I'm sorry to disturb you on New Year's, but we need you to come down to the station as soon as possible. It's regarding your husband, Jacob." Emma's heart stuttered. She looked across the car park. Jake was leaning against his ute, chatting to their mate Davo, laughing loud. "Is he okay? Has there been an accident?" A long pause. Then, "Ma'am, he's not injured. But, your husband is not who he says he is. We need to speak to you in person. Please come alone." The line went dead. Emma stood frozen under the pub's neon sign, the cheers and music still thumping behind her, while the world tilted sideways. Emma told Jake it was probably nothing, a mix-up with his license or someone dobbing in the ute for bald tires. He offered to drive her, but she insisted he stay with the boys, have one more drink, she'd be back soon. The drive to the station took 8 minutes but felt like hours. She was still in her short black nightdress and cheap Target thongs, hair frizzing in the humidity, mascara smudged from happy tears earlier. The police station was quiet, most uniforms out on drunk patrols. Senior Constable Harris and a younger female officer, Constable Newen, met her in an interview room that smelled of instant coffee and bleach. They sat her down, offered a cup of tea with too much milk. Emma declined, hands shaking. Harris opened a manila folder and slid out a series of photos. The first was Jake, but younger, clean-shaven, standing on a Queensland beach with a pretty brunette woman and 2 small kids, maybe 4 and 6 years old. The woman had a protective arm around the boy. The next photo was a mugshot. Same man, bruised knuckles, defiant stare. "This man's legal name is Daniel Aaron Croft," Harris said gently. Born 1989, Townsville. In 2018 he was charged in Brisbane with multiple counts of assault occasioning bodily harm, strangulation, and breach of a DVO against his then-wife, Sarah Croft, and threats toward his children. He skipped bail, disappeared. We believe he assumed the identity of a deceased childhood friend, Jacob Luke Thompson, who died in a car accident in 2005, and moved interstate. Emma stared at the photos until they blurred. "No," she whispered. "You've got the wrong person. Jake's from Geelong. His mum's still alive. I've met her." Nguyen leaned forward. "We ran his fingerprints tonight. Routine check after security reported a minor scuffle in the pub car park. The prints matched Daniel Croft's 2018 arrest record. The ute is registered to Jacob Thompson, but the VIN trace and some other discrepancies flagged it. We're certain." Emma's mind raced through 5 years of memories, Jake's stories about growing up surfing at Bells Beach, his supposed siblings, the scar on his shoulder he said came from a motorbike crash at 16. Had any of it been true? Harris continued. Sarah Croft reported him missing in 2019, presumed dead after he didn't surface. The kids grew up thinking their father drowned on a fishing trip. They've only just learned he's alive. Emma felt bile rise. Has Jake ever hurt me? No, never. He's gentle. He cries at Bloody Bluey episodes. The officers exchanged glances. We're not suggesting he has, Mrs. Thompson. But he's a fugitive, and we have a duty to the Queensland victims. We've issued a warrant. He'll be arrested tonight. Emma asked to see him, but they refused protocol. They drove her home in a patrol car at 2 a.m., the streets empty except for distant sirens. The house was dark. Jake wasn't back yet. She sat on the couch in her party dress, staring at their wedding photo on the mantelpiece, wondering how the man smiling back at her could be a stranger. Emma barely slept. At 7 a.m. she heard the ute pull up, Jake whistling as he came through the laundry door. She confronted him in the kitchen, voice trembling. The color drained from his face as she repeated what the police had said. For a moment he looked like he might deny it, then his shoulders slumped. "I was going to tell you one day," he said quietly. "I swear I never meant to drag you into this." He admitted everything, his real name, the violence in his first marriage, the years of drinking and rage he claimed he'd left behind. "I changed, for you. I've been clean 5 years." But when she asked why he didn't come clean, turn himself in, he had no answer. By 8 a.m. he was packing a bag, tears in his eyes, begging her to understand. "I love you. I never lied about that." Then he was gone, ute roaring down the street. By midday the house felt like a crime scene. Emma rang Jake's mum in Geelong, the woman who'd welcomed her with scones and stories. The older lady broke down, admitted she was actually Daniel's aunt, sworn to secrecy years ago when he begged for help starting over. "I thought he'd changed, love. I'm so sorry." Next came the media. A Current Affair tracked down Sarah Croft in Brisbane within hours. The interview aired that night. Sarah, scarred cheek visible, voice steady but broken, talking about years of terror, the night he choked her until she blacked out, the kids hiding under the bed. The teenage children spoke too, confused, angry, relieved he was alive but terrified he might come back. Social media exploded. Local Facebook groups lit up. How did she not know? 5 years living with a monster, clueless or complicit. Poor first family. Screenshots of Emma's old happy couple posts were shared with laughing emojis. Radio shock jocks weighed in. 3AW's morning host called it the ultimate catfishing, while Triple M's drive time crew joked about checking your husband's fingerprints next night. Neighbors dropped casseroles on the doorstep but lingered for gossip. One woman from down the street posted a long rant. "We all saw them at the school fete. She must have known something was off." Emma's phone blew up. Old school friends, work colleagues, even her hairdresser asking if she was okay or secretly in on it. Her sister drove over from Cranbourne, held her while she sobbed, but even then asked quietly, "Were there signs, Em?" Red flags. By the end of the week, reporters camped on the lawn. Emma kept the blinds drawn, ate me goring straight from the pot, and scrolled through the outrage in disbelief. Women's refuges praised the police response. Men's rights pages claimed it was proof the system demonized blokes. Everyone had an opinion, and none of them knew her. She felt like the whole country was screaming at her for loving the wrong man. 8 days after that shattering New Year's Eve, the news broke across every channel in Australia. New South Wales police had pulled over a white Hilux at a servo just south of Grafton, on the Pacific Highway. The driver matched the description circulated nationwide. Mid-30s, beard, tattoo of a compass on his left forearm. Daniel Aaron Croft, Jake to Emma, didn't run. He stepped out of the ute with his hands up, eyes red from lack of sleep, and said quietly, "I'm not going to fight it." Body cam footage captured the moment, officers cuffing him against the bonnet while a truckie filmed on his phone from the Bowser. By lunchtime it was viral. "Fugitive fake husband nabbed heading to kids," screamed the Herald Sun. A current affair replayed the arrest on loop, slow motioning the cuffs clicking shut. Social media went feral again, memes of Jake's old wedding photos next to the mugshot, captions like, "When your missus finds out you're on Australia's Most Wanted." Back in Ferntree Gully, Emma watched it unfold from the couch, blinds half drawn, a cup of cold tea forgotten in her hand. The reporters were back outside the gate within hours, satellite vans lining the quiet street, neighbors gawking from behind curtains. Channel 9's chopper buzzed overhead. A female journalist knocked boldly, calling through the letterbox, "Emma. We just want your reaction. How do you feel now he's caught?" Emma didn't answer. She turned the TV off, pulled the curtains fully closed, and sat in the dark until her sister arrived with fish and chips and a bottle of Sauv Blanc. Sarah Croft and the kids gave their first post-arrest interview 2 days later, filmed on the back deck of their modest Brisbane home. Sarah looked stronger than in the earlier clips, no visible scar this time, makeup or healing, Emma couldn't tell. The daughter, now 16, spoke first, "I just want him to stay away. We thought he was dead. That was easier." The son, 14 and lanky, stared at the ground the whole time. Sarah thanked the police, thanked the public for sharing the story, and asked for privacy so they could finally move on. Women's advocacy groups held press conferences praising the swift interstate cooperation. Jess Hill from The Guardian wrote a long piece about how men like Daniel reinvent themselves, slipping through cracks in the system. Domestic violence hotlines reported a spike in calls, women suddenly checking their partner's old scars, old stories. The public outrage shifted gears. At first it had been aimed at Emma, how could she not know, but now the tide turned harder against Daniel. Blokes at the Ferntree Gully pub who'd once defended him, "Mate, he was a top bloke, never saw him aggro," now called him a dog, a coward. Radio talkback lit up with callers, women sharing their own stories of charming men who hid violent pasts, men arguing he'd done his time by disappearing and should have been left alone since he hadn't reoffended. Everyone had a take. Meanwhile, offers flooded Emma's inbox. 60 Minutes dangled 6 figures for an exclusive, new idea wanted, her truth. Even a podcast host from Sydney offered to fly her up for a raw, no-holds-barred episode. She deleted them all unread. Victim Support Victoria stepped in quietly, the way they do when the cameras are loudest. A calm woman named Marie rang, introduced herself, and asked if Emma wanted counseling, legal advice, help with the mortgage now there was only one income. Emma said yes to all of it. Marie never once asked, "Did you suspect?" She just listened while Emma cried about the good memories, the weekends at Phillip Island, the way Jake used to make her laugh until her ribs hurt, the quiet Sunday mornings when he'd bring her coffee in bed and call her, "My beautiful girl." Marie said, "It's okay to grieve the man you thought you married. That loss is real too. Selling the house was brutal." The real estate agent, a local dad who'd coached Jake's touch footy team years ago, looked mortified as he explained the market had cooled because of the publicity. Buyers lowballed, whispering about bad vibes and stigma. One couple even asked if the bedroom where Jake had slept was the one where he planned his escape. Emma accepted 20 grand under asking just to be done. Removalists packed 5 years of shared life into boxes while reporters filmed from across the road. She kept only what was undeniably hers, her nan's china, her clothes, the photo albums from before they met. The wedding photos went into a separate box she labeled, "Burn later," but never did. She moved to Torquay in March, crashing with her cousin Tash in a weatherboard cottage 2 streets back from the surf beach. Tash didn't pry, just left a spare key on the hook and a 6-pack of Furphy in the fridge. The ocean became Emma's therapy, long walks along the surf coast track at dawn, watching surfers paddle out at bells, the salt air scrubbing her lungs clean. Some days she screamed into the wind until her throat was raw. Other days she sat on the sand and let the waves numb everything. The counsellor in Geelong, paid for by Victim Support, taught her about trauma bonding, about how love and lies can tangle so tight you can't see the knots until someone else cuts them for you. Anger came in waves too. Anger at Daniel for building a life on quicksand. Anger at herself for missing the inconsistencies, the way he'd tense up whenever Queensland was mentioned on the news, the lack of childhood mates at their wedding, the scar he claimed was from a motorbike but had no photos to prove it. Anger at the strangers who judged her hardest, the ones who posted, she must have known, from behind anonymous keyboards. And anger at the system that had let him vanish so easily in the first place. By December 2026, almost 2 years after the night everything shattered, Emma was still in Torquay. She'd started a new job at a cafe on the Esplanade, nothing fancy, just pulling coffees and chatting to locals. She'd cut her hair short, got a small tattoo of a wave on her ankle, and learned to surf badly on weekends. Nights were quieter now, the nightmares had faded to occasional jolts awake at 3 a.m. New Year's Eve arrived clear and cool. The town was buzzing, families on the foreshore, live music at the pub, fireworks scheduled over the water at midnight. Tash invited her to a house party, but Emma declined. Instead, she walked down to the beach alone at 11:30, carrying a bottle of good French champagne she'd bought with her first full-pay packet from the cafe. She wore jeans and a hoodie against the wind, thongs kicked off and left at the base of the dunes. The beach was dotted with groups, kids with glow sticks, couples under blankets, but Emma found a quiet spot near the water's edge. She sat on the cool sand, watching the moon silver the waves. At midnight the sky exploded, red, green, gold bursts reflecting on the ocean like scattered treasure. Cheers echoed from up and down the coast. Emma twisted the cork slowly until it popped with a soft sigh. She poured half the bottle into the sand, watching it soak in dark and quick. "Happy New Year, ya lying bastard," she said to the sea, voice steady. "Wherever you are, I hope you're facing what you did. I hope you're rotting with the truth." Then she lifted the bottle, drank deeply, the bubbles sharp and cold and perfect. The fireworks faded, the crowd's cheers died down, and the ocean kept rolling in, relentless and clean. Emma stood, brushed sand from her jeans, and walked back up the beach. For the first time in 2 years, she felt the weight truly lift, not gone, but lighter. She was 34, single, scarred, and finally, undeniably free.